Everyone buys safety with gold, he buys it with pain. A healer should save lives, but his gift is a leash. Refuse once and they punish him instantly. Break once and nobody cares, because he's replaceable. Wait till you see how he turns their victory prize into a rewind that flips the whole board. Kiaru is the kingdom's healing hero, dragged wherever soldiers bleed. The setting is a royal war machine that worships champions and discards helpers. The rule is simple: heal whoever they point at, whenever they demand. A second rule is hidden: his healing forces him to feel the wound and the memory behind it, so each rescue becomes another scar inside his head. Because of that, survival means silence, observation, and timing is the only weapon they can't confiscate. Now the first problem hits in a war camp full of screams. Normally, a healer would be guarded and thanked. But here, hands shove him forward like cargo. The bad option is to heal fast and hope they stop. That fails because faster just becomes the new minimum. So Kiaru heals while watching everything. Because watching is the only freedom left, and it works because nobody notices a quiet man learning. So now he memorizes who gives orders, who carries keys, who enjoys cruelty, until a captain snaps his fingers and calls for the medicine again. The worst part is the medicine isn't to help him, it's to tame him. Now the next problem is a sweet drink pressed into his hands under guard eyes. Normally you swallow to survive the moment, but swallowing makes him foggy and foggy makes him obedient. The bad option is to refuse because refusal feels brave. That fails instantly because refusal earns chains and blows. So Kiaru drinks and lets his face go empty, storing the taste for later. And it works because emptiness looks like surrender. So now they think he's broken exactly the way they like, until he wakes up hours later and realizes he lost time again. Suddenly, he hears a calm voice in the dark. Normally that would be a hallucination from the drug, but the voice offers a gift, an eye that sees truth. The bad option is to ignore it and accept the fog. That fails because the fog will keep him owned forever. So Kiaru accepts the power, and the world's lies become visible. And it works because truth gives him a plan. So now he can predict the next dose and the next trap, until the camp shifts into celebration and the Oros arrive smiling. At first, it looks like victory is finally close. Normally, that means everyone relaxes and lowers their guard. But he does the opposite, because celebrations hide knives. And it works because he watches who drinks, who boasts, and who threatens. So now he spots the princess's allies before they speak, until the princess herself steps in calm and polished. The worst part is her kindness sounds like charity, not respect. Don't blink, her sweetness is a blade. Then it gets worse, she tightens the leash. Now the problem turns personal because she talks to him like he's a pet. Normally you nod and keep your head down, but that means you survive today and die inside tomorrow. The bad option is to plead for mercy because mercy sounds possible. That fails, because mercy here is a costume she wears for fun. So Kiaru answers softly, hides his eyes, and keeps listening. And it works because she wants a quiet toy, not a loud one. So now she stops paying attention to his thoughts, until she orders him dragged back to the front line like a bag of tools. Suddenly, the next problem is the battlefield itself, loud and filthy. Normally, this is where heroes shine and healers support. But here, this is where Kiaru gets used until he collapses. The bad option is to stand still and obey every shout. That fails because the shouts never end. So Kiaru moves with purpose, healing only what keeps people fighting. And it works because commanders only care about bodies staying upright. So now he buys seconds of breath between screams, until a wounded soldier grabs him and drags him into blood. The worst part is the soldier begs, and Kiaru feels the terror like it's his. Now the problem becomes the curse of his own power. Normally healing is relief, but for him healing is pain plus memories stacked in his ribs. The bad option is to shut down emotionally, because numbness sounds protective. That fails because numbness makes him slow and slowness gets him hit. So he forces focus, turning the agony into information. And it works because pain shows him the map of the body. So now he starts noticing something terrifying: healing can copy what it touches. Until the war reaches the Demon Lord's stronghold, and the air turns heavy. Don't blink, this is where the Varos reveal their real faces. Now the problem is simple and impossible: the Demon Lord can erase them all. Normally a healer would hide behind shields, but hiding fails because the Demon Lord's power breaks shields like paper. The bad option is to run because running is natural. That fails because there's nowhere to run in a siege. So Kiaru stays just behind the champions, healing at the exact seconds they would drop. And it works because timing turns weakness into endurance. So now the heroes keep swinging, and the Demon Lord keeps losing ground, until Kiaru sees it, a treasure pulsing near the throne. Suddenly, the next problem is greed, not war. Normally you grab the prize the moment it appears, but grabbing it openly fails because everyone will notice the healer reaching first. So Kiaru waits, watches the strongest hero lunge, and tracks the rhythm of the fight. And it works because the fight is a distraction no one questions. So now he knows the exact instant the Demon Lord will fall, until the Demon Lord collapses, and the camp roars with victory. The worst part is victory is when they tighten chains again. At first, it looks like victory ends the nightmare. Normally that means the healer finally breathes, but he does not celebrate, he hunts the stone. And it works because nobody watches him during speeches, so now his fingers reach the Philosopher's Stone, until a soft hand clamps his wrist and stops him. The worst part is the grip belongs to Princess Flare. Don't blink, her smile promises punishment. Then it gets worse, she calls for his medicine again. Her smile says he's still property. Normally, That means he swallows the dose and forgets again. The bad option is to panic, because panic shows guilt. That fails because guilt gives her a reason to tighten control. So Kiaru lowers his eyes and plays weak on purpose. And it works because she loves weakness. So now she turns away, already satisfied, until the guards shove a cup to his lips. Now the problem is the drug, watched by two men. Normally, you swallow to survive the moment, but swallowing makes him foggy, and foggy makes him obedient. The bad option is to refuse. That fails instantly, because refusal earns chains and blows. So he sips, coughs hard, and lets it spill into his sleeve. And it works because a coughing healer looks harmless. So now his mind stays sharp while he staggers, until a guard grabs his chin and checks his throat. Suddenly, the next problem is proof. Normally, the spill would end the inspection, but this guard wants to look useful. The bad option is to argue. That fails, because arguments sound aware. So Kiaru fakes a seizure and collapses, foaming with spit. And it works because fear of sickness makes soldiers step back. So now the guard opens the tent flap for air, until that opening becomes Kiaru's exit. Now the problem is the camp outside, loud with victory. Normally, you run away from crowds, but he does the opposite. He moves toward the prize. And it works because nobody expects the healer to steal. So now he slips behind the champions and reaches the trophies, until the philosopher's stone chills his palm through cloth. The worst part is the prize is smaller than the pain it caused. At first, it looks like the celebration will hide him. Normally, that means he can vanish in plain sight. But he does one calm motion. He palms the stone and bows, and it works because cheers drown tiny movements. So now the stone is against his skin, hidden and real, until Princess Flare brushes his wrist like she's checking ownership. The worst part is her touch is a reminder, not affection. Don't blink, he keeps smiling anyway. Then it gets worse. She orders him taken to rest. Now the problem is escaping with evidence before the next dose. Normally, you stash the prize and wait for night. But waiting fails because she'll drug him before he wakes. The bad option is to fight the escort. That fails because public violence brings public execution. So Kiaru walks obediently, counting turns and tents, and it works because obedience makes guards lazy. So now he guides them toward a rear storage hut with fewer eyes, until the door shuts and leaves him with one tired sentry. Now the problem is one key and one throat that can shout. Normally you wait for sleep, but waiting fails because patrols check before dawn. The bad option is to strike with fists. That fails because armor is loud and hard. So Kiaru grabs the sentry's wrist and heals an old injury the wrong way, flooding his nerves with shock. And it works because pain is faster than steel. So now the sentry drops, shaking, unable to scream, until Boots paws outside the door. Don't blink, this is the narrowest second of his life. Now the problem is the coming inspection. Normally you hide and pray, but praying fails because checks are routine. The bad option is to open the door first. That fails because the hallway has witnesses. So Kiaru presses the philosopher's stone to his palm and focuses on one command: rewind. And it works because his healing can restore what reality breaks, even time. So now sound reverses, scars burn, and the room folds inward, until the world drags backward through every humiliation he ever swallowed. At first it looks like he's dying all at once. Normally that means the end. But he does what he always does, he heals through it. And it works because healing stitches the tearing timeline. So now years collapse into a blink, and his body rebuilds younger, until he wakes on an earlier day with the same memories intact. The worst part is the past feels clean even though it's poison. Don't blink, this time he's awake inside the cage. Then it gets worse. He remembers exactly when the cage closes. Now the problem is staying clear before the handlers drug him. Normally a trapped man panics and lashes out. But that fails because early violence gets him killed. So Kiaru plays obedient and heals his own organs at night. And it works because poison can't bind a body that keeps rewriting itself. So now the doses dull him less and less, until the handlers increase the amount, suddenly testing his limits. Now the problem becomes attention. Normally attention is good for heroes, but for him attention is a spotlight on a trap. The bad option is to act fearless. That fails because fearless looks unnatural on a broken healer. So he acts humble, heals quietly, and steals tiny fragments: stamina, balance, grip. And it works because every helpful heal copies a sliver of strength. So now his hands stop trembling when he's ordered around, until he realizes the target is not the war, it's the princess. Suddenly the rules change from surviving to erasing a threat. Normally he would wait for the demon lord again, but now he wants Flare gone before she can ruin him. So he studies her schedule, her escorts, her blind spots, and it works because he remembers everything she thinks he forgot. So now he chooses the cleanest entry, a trusted commander's face, until he heals his features into Leonard's shape and walks the corridor unchallenged. Now the problem is words, not guards. Normally, a disguise fails when someone asks a personal detail. The bad option is to talk too much. That fails because extra words reveal cracks. So Kiaru keeps answers short and steady and reaches her door, and it works because authority sounds simple. So now he steps into her room, alone with her at last, until Flare tilts her head and asks a question only Leonard should know. Flare tilts her head and waits for the answer. Normally this is where a disguise collapses. The bad option is to guess, because guessing invites death. That fails because royalty punishes uncertainty. So Kiaru answers with the calm tone she expects from Leonard. And it works because confidence is a costume people believe. So now she lets him step closer, one breath too long, until she raises a hand to cast, smiling. Now the problem is magic at arm's length. Normally she paralyzes people and calls it discipline. The bad option is to let her finish the spell. That fails instantly because one spell ends everything. So Kiaru closes the door softly, disables the call bell and grabs her wrist. And it works because control starts with silence. So now he ills, the casting muscles the wrong way, locking her fingers in pain, until her mouth opens to scream anyway. The worst part is she still thinks she's untouchable. Now the problem is time before anyone hears a sound. Normally you'd threaten and explain. But explaining fails because speech is wise seconds. So he whispers one line she can't deny, he remembers everything. And it works because truth hits harder than threats. So now fear breaks through her pride, until fear turns into bargaining. Suddenly sweet at first, it looks like she will offer anything to survive. Normally that means apologies, deals, and fake tears. But he does not bargain, he changes the rules. And it works because he isn't here to win an argument, he's here to raise a threat. So now he chooses a colder revenge than death. He rewrites the person who can accuse him, until he realizes the palace still needs a princess. To see walking, the worst part is living is the punishment he chooses. Don't blink, he starts the rewrite. Then it gets worse because healing becomes editing. Now the problem is reshaping memory without breaking her loudly. Normally memory fights back. The bad option is to leave her mind intact and rely on fear. That fails because fear fades and revenge grows. So Kiara stitches new paths over old ones, sealing old triggers as healed. And it works because her body accepts healing as truth. So now her eyes lose their sharpness and her voice loses its bite, until she repeats a new name when he gives it Freya. Suddenly, the next problem is escape with a living witness beside him. Normally you run, but running fails because running creates witnesses. So Kiaru makes Freya walk calmly, head lowered, like an attendant following orders. And it works because obedience looks ordinary in this palace. So now they slide into servant corridors where faces matter less. Until the real Leonard turns the corner, returning early. Don't blink, this is the mirror walking toward him. Now the problem is two identical commanders in one hall. Normally that means instant exposure. The bad option is to talk it out. That fails, cause guards will grab both and ask later. So Kiaru strikes first, drops Leonard with a fast nerve hit, and keeps him alive. And it works because a living scapegoat tells a cleaner story than a corpse. So now he plants the simplest scene. Leonard looks guilty and Freya looks like a victim. Normally framing needs papers, seals, and perfect timing. The bad option is to overdo details, because details create contradictions. That fails because contradictions invite real investigators. So Kiara keeps it brutal and simple. Leonard's signet, a torn sleeve, and the drug scent on his collar. And it works because guards prefer the easiest explanation. So now the blame sticks fast, even before questions start, until a patrol rounds the corner and demands to see the commander immediately. At first, it looks like they can slip away before anyone checks. Normally that means take the nearest exit and vanish. But he does the opposite. He leaves signs that pull the search away from the gates. And it works because people chase the loudest story first. So now the palace hunts Leonard, not the healer. Until the gatehouse begins checking lines, suddenly tightening control. The worst part is the palace loves public punishment. Don't blink, Kiara turns calm into camouflage. Then it gets worse because Freya's face could still spark recognition. Now the problem is the final barrier, bored soldiers with sharp eyes. Normally you need papers, seals, and an escort. The bad option is to force your way out. That fails, because force triggers alarms and arrows. So Kiaru blends into a supply line, leaving at dusk, moving with carts. And it works because guards check cargo, not faces. So now they pass the first barrier with a lazy wave, until one guard hesitates at Freya's face shape. Suddenly the next problem is recognition. Normally you run when someone hesitates, but running fails, because running becomes proof. The bad option is to threaten him. That fails because threatened men shout. So Kiaru offers a quick heal for the guard's aching knee, gentle and efficient, and it works because gratitude replaces suspicion in one breath. So now the guard smiles, steps aside, and waves them through, until a shout rises behind them. Leonard has been found in a mess. Now the endgame payoff lands. The princess who owned him is gone, replaced by Freya walking at his side. Normally, that would feel like the end. But for Kiaru it's the first move. So he steps beyond the walls with a stolen future and enemies who don't know what changed. And if you were in his place, would you choose mercy or revenge? Comment your answer. And if you want the next arc, like and subscribe. At first it looks like freedom at last. Normally that means you breathe and stop looking back. But he does not stop scanning corners. And it works because hunters follow the careless. So now every road is a test of patience, until a new rumor reaches them: the kingdom is gathering heroes again. The worst part is those heroes will eventually cross his path. Don't blink because the next arc gets crazier. Then it gets worse, because someone out there recognizes his healing style. That's only chapter 1 out of Tenwa, but that wasn't the worst part.